सिद्ध्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं Hari Om. Yes, can someone recollect what is it that we have seen? Again, I request all participants who can turn on the video feeds. Please do turn on the video feeds. Yes. Can someone recollect what is it that we have seen? Yes, please. Anything. We need to form the link to move ahead. About different types of the yajnas and offerings, isn't it? Yes, please. Anybody?
Hari
Hari Om.
Om.
Yes. Hari Om. Hari Om Chaterjee. Yes, Ji. You would like to share a recap?
Sure.
Yes, Chaitanya. Yes,
Yeah.
please.
We are saying about a person who Pandit Shri Krishna said who is a Pandit, who the person whose karmas are not inspired by any gratification. They are purely inspired by fire of sacrifice, and he does it in a right way because they need to be done and not to get something out of it. He does not assume the doership of it. He just he's always in a thinking that it is being done by divine. It is just being done by through him. And even in the flux of karma, he is always calm, composed, and consciously taking the right decisions on it about for the all karmas. Then that dvandva between what he or she likes and what is actually needed to be done, that has disappeared, I think. And there are no new sanskaras created because of this then. And we can say that I mean, uh, he is not confused basically, so he is always clear about what is the right decision, and he goes ahead on the same path. Then we had also seen about sacrifice, that when it is done in a right way, with the right attitude and approach, then it is a good thing. But if you are still attached to things that you are sacrificing and you're not getting over it, then that is not the right way to do it. uh, then Shri Krishna had also talked about different people taking different margas to reach him. Also, different margas or different types of yajnas that people do by devoting dravyas, or via music and words, or by doing some karmas, and not taking foods to them, and giving it back again in the yajna of karmas. He said, you may worship different forms of me, but eventually it all reaches to me only. And it is yeah, so it doesn't matter. So that divide should not be there on who is going to which form is getting worshipped. So yeah, and then even it was also that he said that if it is possible that you may what do you say you may worship some form, you may offer something to get something in return, and that may manifest, but that is a narrow view, not not something that is a big picture. And then he also said about sacrifice being the base rule of this srishti. So uh, so you if you want to move consciously ahead, needs to be done throughout your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes, Ji. One second. Beautiful. Hari Om, Anjali. Yeah. Thank you, Chaitanya ji, for a beautiful summary. So ultimately, that once a person is in that state of consciousness, the ahankar that I am the doer, I have done this aspect disappears. Naiva kinchit karoti saha. That does not mean he's doing nothing. Only he's not taking the credit for what he is doing. Just like the Upanishad, it says, Isha vasyam idam sarvam. All that is his but his. It belongs to the divine. So that is the number one aspect that we saw. Then there are different ways, different yajnas. People do different offerings. They do different tapasyas. For what? For going to that state of knowledge, for that high knowledge, for getting the realization. So many routes going to one particular destination only. Then Krishna talks about the Dravya Yajna. Dravya Yajnas are important, yes, but greater than Dravya Yajna is knowing why things are done, because ultimately the purpose of all of this, the purpose of sadhana, the purpose of seeking and spirituality is one. Can anybody tell me what is that? What are we seeking when we seek? Yes, anybody?
The Lokasangraya and higher consciousness.
Yes, the higher consciousness, the betterment of the world, we're seeking that light. And that is exactly what Krishna is talking about. So Krishna goes on. Then one more aspect, 34th shloka. Let us see. Tad vidhi pranipatena paiprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnani nastatva darshinaha. By humbly bowing to a true master, and by worshipping, and by questioning, and by dutifully serving. These preceptors who possess the divinity and foresight shall bless and part you their knowledge is light. So here Krishna says Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Now here for the first time we see the importance of a guru. The importance of a guru is described here. And how is it? It is by questioning, by dutifully serving. And what happens is these preceptors, when receive the light from their sadhana, they will grant it to you. That's what Krishna is saying. My question is, like today there was a wonderful question, isn't it? That was raised by Dr. Swarupaji. Can one have multiple Shraddha? What is your opinion about it? Anybody? Yes or not? Yes or no? Hari Om Chandeshi, namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Yes, can someone tell me? It's quite interesting. I'm actually, thank you, Chandrashki's face I can see, otherwise all our screens only today. Yes, please, anybody? Hari Om. Yes, so the question was, Hari Om, yeah? Anybody?
Uh, Hari Om, I feel there has to be one Shraddha Sthana
One Shraddhasthana. Okay. So we cannot have, Manisha ji, we cannot have multiple places of Shraddha?
because we need to follow one. We can't follow multiple.
Means it's like you cannot have multiple directions to go at one. There may be many destinations and there may be many guides. But the
Yes,
path you are on, for your path, you need one, isn't it? Like they
right.
say, Eka Devo Bhava. That is why it is said you have to be very careful while finding a guru, while understanding. But we can have many guides, isn't it? We can receive guidance from so many places, so many people. Children can also become guides for elderly. It is a child is the father of man.
Yes,
So we can learn. Datta Guru had so many gurus. There were different, if you see different places, he learned different things and he identified multiple gurus also. But for us, we must understand this, that yes, it is required. And Sanatana Dharma talks about this. They say, Vande Guru Parampara. My question is, what happens then? Because somebody had asked this question to, and it was something one elderly person had asked uh, one more sadhak in front of me. Ki, what happens now if we surrender to the Guru? Does that mean now we have to only obey and listen to all the orders like a robot? Now, this question itself is a little strange because what is it that a Guru needs from anybody? When Damliji was very young, he had gone to a particular guru, and he was very young. So somebody told him when he was just probably in his college, he said, "This person is wonderful. Take from him the Ashirwad. I will help you and I introduce you to him." He was very happy to learn. But when he went there, he got a little scared because it was a small room and he had to go there. And now the guru said certain things to him. And then he said, now you have to give me Guru Dakshina. Then Namliji got scared because he touched his pocket. There were only 2 coins. They were very small ones. Ab ye kya lene wale hai? And when he just looked like that, looked scared, and then the Guru shouted and he just laughed and said, "Daro mat, मैं क्या लेने वाला हूँ?" And then he said, "Give me your dvesha, give me your raga, give me your all these shad ripus." He said, "Give me those ripus." And he was suddenly happy. Yeah, acha, he's not taking anything material from me. So this aspect of Sanatan Dharma respects and reveres the Guru Parampara because you see, knowledge will be received this way. Namliji's Guru had to do the Narmada Parikrama with such great difficulties. If today you want to do Narmada Parikrama, you will be able to do it with so many facilities. But that time people would go and many times that would be the last thing they are doing because it was so challenging. So many of very few of them. But in that, with that difficulty, with that tapa, with that whatever teja they received, that teja would be passed on. And Namli says his guru didn't have to do anything for him, but he got it very easy. But if I look at Namli's life, I don't think it's easy at all. He says it's according to his, comparison that he is making for himself. But if you see, the Sanatana Dharma does not ask you to become blind followers. It allows pariprashnena sevaya tad vidhi pranipatena. Means the respect of reverence. If reverence is not there, we cannot live, isn't it? Without Shraddha, we cannot receive anything. It is something like that. You cannot learn. A student must have a reverence, isn't it? Surrendering to the Guru is not surrendering to the enemy. When Krishna said this, तया श्रेयः स्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम. He acknowledged, I don't know. And this acknowledging of I don't know in front of the Guru is so important because that is where you kind of create a vacuum inside for the light and the grace to start functioning and entering into you. And this Gita would not have started if Arjuna had not said this. पृच्छामि त्वां धर्म सम्मूढ़ चेतः यत् श्रेयः. I do not know, tell me what is right. शिष्यस्तेहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम. Oh, one well endowed with knowledge, I am seeking your light. Give this to me. A young Adi Shankaracharya was asked this question, "Who are you?" And he began replying. He was just a young person in search. Actually, he had gone in search of the light and search of the Guru, and he was on the path. And that time somebody stopped him. And he answered because he's already connected with the divine. He had already got some higher connection. And he answered what is very well known now by this, we call it the Atma Shatakam, where he actually, one of the verse, he says this to his own Guru. He says, "Name mrityu shanka, name jati bhedah, पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बंधुर न मित्रम गुरोर्नैव शिष्य चिदानंद रूप शिवोहम शिवोहम." And it was after this that he recognized the person in front was his guru and he received the diksha. But this Sanatan Dharma does allow us to question. Look at Arjuna. He's questioning everything that Krishna is saying. That is not something which is lost. But let that be with Shraddha because Shraddha is the key. Krishna says this. He says, they will bless you. But that is why it is important where you place your Shraddha. Can you place Shraddha in somebody like Duryodhana? What will happen? Anybody? You place your Shraddha in Duryodhana. Yes,
one will be encouraged to do wrong things.
will be encouraged to do. Ah, that's an end. Like the sanskaras are always passed on, isn't it? So now you have chosen Duryodhana, so you will start having dvesha, you will start having bheda. If somebody who is creating hatred, that person you follow, you receive that trait. Absolutely right, Ramesh ji. And that's why it is said, Guru banana jaan ke, pani pina chan ke. So consciously select water. You don't drink just like that, isn't it? You drink water that is pure without impurities. You carefully select the water that you drink. You ensure that it is purified, it is clean. Just like that, Guru also should be understood. But actually, Guru cannot be chosen like you are choosing things in the menu of a restaurant. The moment comes when the realization, the Shishya has to be ready and the Guru manifests that is there. But let us continue. Krishna says, because many times people get worried, but what if I don't have a Guru? Well, have an Aradhya, have a Ishta, hold on to the Ishta, and that is enough for you. That will take you ahead, definitely. Because what is this? Krishna says the next. That is why they say Krishna Mande Jagat Guru. Because many times people desperately find ki where will I find my Guru? Guru bina jnana kahan se paun is the cry of a Shishya. Where will I find my Guru? I don't know. I need the knowledge, but I'm not receiving it. Then this is the next shloka will tell you easily. He says, what happens? It's like yajnatva na punarmoham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutanya sheshena drakshasya yatho mayi. With this knowledge, O Arjuna, you, with this knowledge, O Arjuna, you shall know the true way, and your mind's ignorance shall never lead you astray. See, you shall first in all living entities the self's presence, and then witness you shall in myself every being's existence. So Krishna is already saying what is going to be received ultimately. It's like you know the destination. What is that destination? It's like if I'm told I have to go to Shimla and I don't know how Shimla is, I will not be prepared. But if somebody tells me, yes, this is a place where it's cold, you need to have cold clothes, you can make your arrangements. Something like that. Krishna says, okay, you don't have a guru, hold on to the Krishna, hold on to the divine, hold on to your Ishta, hold on to your Aradhya. But Shraddha is important. Something to hold on, someone to hold on is very, very important. And Krishna says, you will know the true way. And what will happen then? The ignorance of your mind shall not lead you astray. Sometimes the problem is not outside, the problem is inside. Our ignorance only creates the Bheda. Our ignorance creates the divide. If I look at the world with tinted glasses, what will happen? The world will appear that way only. It is not the problem of the world, it's probably the glasses, and that is what the Guru's job is also. Nothing else. चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. That darkness of ignorance. So he's not an ophthalmologist. He's not physically removing anything or any cataract operation. But in our eyes, sometimes our perspective is blinded. Blinded by what? Purva sanskar. Blinded by personal bias, blinded by presumptions, blinded by wrong notions, assumptions, and that is the work of the Guru. That Guru removes that. And what happens then? Then there is no Bheda, oneness, Ekameva Dvitiyam Brahma. Or as Sri Aurobindo, inside of the Alipur jail, got the experience of Vasudevam Sarvamiti. Where did he see Vasudeva? Well, in the rods of the jail. The coarse blanket that was given was Madhava for him. In the prosecution, there is Madhava. In the counsel who is speaking for him, or who is speaking against him, in the judge, in the witness, everywhere he was saying, and he said, I was at peace. Such peace was there because everywhere the divine is. He could see this at a time when there was a false case that was foisted upon him, and the ploy was to destroy the great being. The ploy was to hang him by hook or crook. But at that time also, he could experience this oneness. This oneness is also talked about in the Upanishad, especially the Isha Upanishad. So it says, first, oh Pushan, Bhagwan, give me the strength to recognize your divinity. Where? Where? Everywhere. In all that is brilliant, in all that is beautiful. Give me the strength to see. And realize what after that? Next comes the realization of Soham Asmi, and realize that I too am thee. So the first realization will be able, if you cannot see the divine in the world, where will you see the divine inside of you? First, this is beautiful shloka which actually tells this journey of recognizing outside also. That is why Sant Tukaram had also said, Divyat Vachi Jethe Prachiti Tethe kara majhe zurati. Where I experience divinity, there my hands will bow. I will not feel hesitate to bow. That ahankar is not required. Throw that away is what Tukaram was talked about in his Abhanga. And what happens then? Then the transformation takes place. And what is the space? It is God's speed. Krishna goes on. He says, and who can get transformed? Anybody? What do you think? This are there select beings only who can get transformed? Or the potential is for everybody? The potential of transformation. Anyone?
The one who aspires.
Yes, ji? Manisha ji?
The one who aspires.
Ah, okay, that is beautiful. Only those who aspire, isn't it? Only those who seek will find something like that. If the aspiration is not there, then you will not. But if you aspire, then Krishna says there is nobody who cannot receive the light. Everybody is welcome. Krishna says, Asheshani api chedasi papebhyaha sarvebhyaha papakrittamaha sarvam jnana plavenaiva vrujinam santarishyasi. Even a sinner who has the greatest sin performed, by this knowledge, the sinner can be reformed. What guilt are you holding inside? Not required at all. Look at this worst sinner. Even the worst sinner can be transformed. Why? Because that is the power of knowledge. The light of knowledge can reform even the sinner. Surpassing the sea of wickedness, he shall pass through, boarding the ship of knowledge. He'll cross a new horizon, a new dawn, a new awakening of consciousness will take place when that consciousness of the divine enters that individual. And even the worst of the sinners can get transformed, is what Krishna is saying. Should we hate the person who is wicked and pray for the destruction of the wicked person, or should we pray for the destruction of the wickedness in the person? What is our problem? The wickedness or the person?
It's
Yes,
wickedness of that person.
wickedness. Yes, Chaitanya ji. There is a verse of Sant Jnaneshwar about this. Have you heard of it? Jnaneshwar Maharaj. Duritanche.
Duritanjati Mirzao, yes.
Ah, yes, isn't
Pasaidan.
it? Pasaidan. So that's a universal prayer there. He says, Duritanche timirazao. Let that darkness in the wrong disappear. How beautiful will it be? Imagine Duryodhana and Arjuna, instead of fighting for each other's blood, they are able to put hands on each other's shoulder and walk together. Wouldn't that be a beautiful sight? How beautiful would it be? But for that, this has to disappear. And that's what Krishna is talking about right now. He says, this knowledge, when it enters, even the worst sinner can get transformed. Anybody has heard of Valya or Ratnakar, the hunter? Many? Or has anybody heard of Rishi Valmiki? Yes. Did you know the history of Valmiki? Anyone? The great Maharshi Valmiki. He's not just called Rishi, he's called Maharshi. He's exalted, he's respected so much. But what was his past? Anybody?
Yeah, he was a Ratnakar Daku.
Daku, isn't it, sir? Yes, sir. So he was stealing. He was stealing from people who had actually, honestly and with so much sincerity, people had earned for their livelihoods. This person would go and steal from them. But he got transformed. Something happened. That was the intervention of the divine. And he got transformed so much that he became Rishi Valmiki. So that is the power of knowledge. Krishna goes on. Yathai dhansi samidbhognir bhasmasat kuruterjuna jnanagnihi sarvakarmani bhasmasat kuruterjuna kurute tatha. What is this Jnanagni, the knowledge of fire? It can burn. It can burn all these karma bandhanas. It can burn all the ignorance. All vices will be like dead twigs in this fire. They will just burn and become bhasma, ashes. Krishna says that. He says, Oh Arjuna, just like when an inferno blazes, everything its fire consumes, burns and raises. The fire of ethereal knowledge, everything burns. Every action and works into ashes it turns. So every action, even work also, forget it. In the light of knowledge, knowledge is so brilliant that it will bhasma everything that is against it. That is the power of knowledge. And Krishna goes on saying, this is nothing more, there is nothing more immaculate than this knowledge. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram miha vidyate. Tat swayam yoga sansiddhi kale natmani vindati. It's going to the Swayam Siddhi, some Siddhi. So that Swayam Yoga Sansiddhi, that it will happen naturally when the fire is going to burn. What's going to happen initially? If anybody has, while doing a havan, if you put a, moist, damp wood, what happens? Smoke starts appearing initially. But afterwards, that fire, when it consumes that also, the smoke again gets purified. The smoke disappears. And then the fire is again brilliant and most brilliant and bright. It is just like that. Krishna is saying there's nothing more immaculate than this. More immaculate than this, there is nothing. When the radiance of knowledge is unadulterated light, he who has integrated the yogic principles in everything attains in himself the true self's insight. This integration, this is so important. Like they say, samatvam yoga uchyate. It is something which should be balanced in all, in our actions also. And this knowledge, there is nothing more brilliant than this. And one person who has realized it, all the, what we can say, the siddhi of the yoga, where a person gets accomplished, all those things happen naturally when you get this insight. If you look at the insight which Krishna talked about here, first he talked about, requiring some guidance maybe to receive that insight. But what is that insight that is got? That is the insight of oneness of the divine. Later on, we'll see this verse also. Vasudevam Sarvamiti. So Mahatma so Durlabha. It is very rare to find such a person who can get the experience. That is why Sri Aurobindo is, revered so much. How can somebody receive that? That too inside of the prison. This knowledge is like that. Many of the great ones, interestingly, in difficult situations, and they received light. Can anybody think of anybody else who received light inside of the prison? Any of the great ones? Think of right now Mandalay prison. Anybody knows? Yes, Tilak Maharaj, Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak, he also received some light, isn't it, inside of the prison?
Surdas, uh,
Yes,
Surdas,
ji? Yeah,
Surdas.
yeah. So you see, in jail also, people are able to receive this knowledge, this Pavitra light. The dacoit can become the great Devatulya Rishi, equated to the divine, that kind of Rishi. My question is, are we in jail? Have we done such bad things? Has anybody performed crimes of stealing? Chaudhya karma. Yes or no?
No.
No, isn't it, Chaitanya ji? We have, and we are not in jail also, aren't we?
No.
We are free. Huh?
Yes.
But we are not in a different type of cage. Sometimes people are in golden cages. Tukaram had said that. Karthik ji is saying something? Yes, sir.
We may not be in jail, but do you think there's a correlation between this and, say, for example, basically time to introspect?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Time to express, introspect, but the possibility of manifestation or possibility of realization is so much higher in all of us. If we look at, we have conducive situations. Nobody is stopping us, isn't it, from seeking? Probably we are the only ones who are stopping us, and that should be probably realized and transformed. That is why it is said, Akashi Jhepa Ghere Pakhara, Sodi Sonyacha Pinjra.
Yeah.
Oh, bird, go into the sky. Take that leap into the sky, oh bird. Break your cage of gold. You're in a golden cage. People are feeding you. You are happy with those little morsels. When will you realize that I am not the bird meant to be in the cage? Look outside, look at the sky, look at the other birds that are flying. See that Rajahamsa and realize, yes, I am Rajahamsa. I am not meant to be the cage. I cannot be satisfied with morsels thrown at me. I am going to eat my own food. I am going to go to Manasarovar. I will realize that. Well, that realization must come. And when it does, that is all. That fire will burn everything to ashes and you will get realized. Krishna says there is nothing more than this, and it is important to integrate in all dimensions. For some people look like yogis while meditating, then they become the biggest asura after the meditation session. We have to integrate it at all times. We have to, of what we can say, our personality online and our personality offline should not be different. Because I remember one person was, he had so many followers online. I was really, every comment that he would make, and he would get so many people. I thought this was somebody very interesting. And by some good chance, I got to meet him. But the personality offline was complete contrast. I saw him standing in a corner. His voice is not the way he was very vehement and strong on the outside. Yeah, it was very funny. It was actually he was absolutely different. It did not match at all his personality. So this is something which should be there, integrating principles at all, wherever you are. Let that be one. Of course, I'm not trying to say anything about the people can choose. Some people are working undercover and have fake online personalities, which they are using it as a projection. But that's a different aspect. What I'm talking about is let us have that sincerity. Yogic principles, not only for Vedanta study. Vedanta should be lived, isn't it? What is the use if you are not the example that you have to set? Krishna has so many times told, Yad yad acharati shrestha, become like Raja Janaka, become that rich sage, become the Srimanta yogi, or become like me, become like Krishna. All these things that he has said is because we have to integrate everywhere, because it is not complete, and it is life is not complete without that. And we will never be peaceful or happy, and if there is a dvaita or dvandva inside of us, that has to be broken. Krishna goes on. And how do we do this? Here is where Shraddha comes into place. It's very interesting that this question of Shraddha was already asked just before we covered it. Because now Krishna is emphasizing. He says, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatpare sayatendriyaha jnanam labdhva param shantim achirena adhikachati. He whose faith is strongly ordained and a control over senses, he who has attained, is by the supreme knowledge enlightened, and his ascent to absolute peace is ascertained. Krishna says, somebody whose Shraddha is firm, its Shraddha is what we say atal, it will not shake. Even if God comes and tells me, I will say, no, this is my Guru. I will go first to my Guru, then afterwards to the Aradhya. Though my good Guru has always told to go to the Aradhya. I'll say, no, my Shraddha is firm because he introduced me to you. I will not. Shraddha does not change. Shraddha is something which will be strong. And Shraddha is firm. You're going to have control over your indriyas also, because that strength of the Shraddha will give you the manobala. It will also grant tapobala. Everything comes from that. That is why Shraddha is the secret. And Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Have we not experienced that when we liked a subject, we have learned more? Our Shraddha in that subject is increased, for example, and then that has only led to growing of knowledge. Fulfilling of the personality happens. That is what happens. When you go into that, when Shraddha is there, it is firm. Krishna is saying, Jnana also comes. So knowledge is required, but knowledge without Shraddha is not possible, or knowledge without Shraddha is like a dry knowledge. It's like you're having a beautiful flower in a pot, but the soil is too dry. What will happen afterwards then? The rose will wilt, the flowers also will, fall. That is exactly what happens when Shraddha is not there. But when it is firm, Krishna is saying you'll have control over the Indriyas. And by supreme knowledge, and a control over the senses, he who has attained, he is by the supreme knowledge enlightened, and his ascent to absolute peace is ascertained. And param shanti, jnanam labdva param shanti, machirena adhigacchati. This person will not be disturbed by Ashanti. Krishna has told Ashantasya Kuta Sukham. If you're looking for peace, you're looking for Ananda in life, first ground is to have Shanti in the inside. Aurobindo also said that only. It is in the calm that the divine works. Where will you receive that calm? Only when you have Shraddha. You have faith. If your faith is going to shake because of outer aspects, my friend did not give this to me, so I don't have Shraddha. It's not the case at all. Shraddha does not change by outer aspects. It is something which is core, fundamental, and internal. And because of that, it is something which cannot be imposed. It cannot be told that, yes, grow Shraddha, keep Shraddha. I'm telling you, I order you to have Shraddha. Nobody in the world, no dictator or no king can say that. It cannot be ordered. It flows naturally. It's like there's a fountain. Maybe past experiences create boulders, does not allow the fountain to, flow. That's all. But remove the boulders, again it will flow. But it is something which has to be experienced, which has to be grown, and it gives a shanti also. There was a story of a boy inside of a ship. That ship was drowning. The captain says, everybody rush to this particular side, all of you, port side immediately. This boy's father is also on the ship, and his father says, son, don't worry, I'll take care of you. Just remember to stay here. That's all his father has said. And this boy is standing peacefully, even though the ship is sinking. There's not a worry, and the captain is a little worried of everybody else because despite giving instructions, nobody is following his instructions. Nobody's listening. They're running this way, that way. This is not safe. That is not safe. All are screaming, panicking. Everything is going on. But he saw this boy and he's shocked. He said, what happened? Why are you not scared, my child? His boy says, no, my father said, don't worry. He will come. So Shraddha is in his father is so strong that he is actually doing what is right automatically only because he knows that his father will never be wrong. And his father has told him this is something which is not going to change. It is like a patthar ki lakir, a line engraved on stone that will not change. And there's a beautiful symbolism in the story of Anjaneya also. Where is Ram? He says Ram is here and he opens his heart to show that Sri Ram is here. That is Shraddha. And what was the strength of Hanuman? He had Sakala Siddhi. But what was his greatest strength? Anybody? So many Siddhis he had. Grow big, he could grow small, he could suddenly. Yes, Chaitanya ji.
Yeah, I think it's Shraddha and Bhakti towards Sri Ram. I think that was his source.
Yes. That was the source. That was the source of his knowledge. मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूतमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शरणं प्रपद्ये. The Dut of Rama, the Dasa of Rama, and we bow to him not because he's so powerful, he was so strong. It is because look at this. In spite of being so powerful, he had so much humility. Sri Rama, in the end, he says, "How can I repay your debt?" When Hanuman touches his feet in the last, after the end of the Ramayana, he says, I cannot, because that was his Shraddha, and that Shraddha took him everywhere. That is something which Krishna talks about here. He says, that is a Shraddha which gives you knowledge, that is a Shraddha which will ultimately bring you peace, the Shanti. And in that Shanti, you will receive divine wisdom. Greater works can be done. If you're already doing good work, you can do great works with this. But what happens if Shraddha is not there? Doubting Thomas, what will he get? Nothing. He'll always have doubts all the time. Krishna goes on, he says, Agnyascha Shraddhadhanascha Sanshayatma Vinashyati Nayam Lokosti na paro Nak Sukham Sanshayatmanaha. The one who is faithless and ignorant, for whom neither this world nor the others is existent, by infinite doubts his mind is plagued, and by his own skepticism, he is destroyed. Krishna is saying, but what happens when there are doubts and Shraddha? Shraddha and doubts don't go hand in hand. You either have doubts or you have Shraddha. Recently, I got a call from somebody, and the person was explaining that my Shraddha in my divine is shaken because of their political outcome. So, and I am very much afraid. What is this? God does not listen. I think I should stop worshipping this particular God. I fear so much because of this. So, Bhaya has also come because of Sanshaya. Doubt has come. And that again, that Bhaya is on the basis of what? On the basis of a political outcome. What is politics? It is about somebody wins, somebody loses, it keeps happening. Mahol keeps changing, isn't it? The time will bring winds of change all the time, every time, everywhere. But what is it? Is it going to fluctuate? Is it going to change? No, it's not something like that. Ask the person clearly. So what is it? Are you particularly sad for somebody? Or you are having a fear that your prayers are not going to be answered and you're more attached to that aspect? Because many times in doubts, fear. If you see Arjuna, what was he doing in the first Adhyaya? He was saying, I care for Duryodhana, I care for the world, I care for everybody else. It was actually he care, he's worried about himself. That was the main thing. But he was hiding and masking that and filled with so many doubts. But what happened because of those doubts? Parantapa, the great hero with broad shoulders, Mahabaho, became the one with the drooping shoulders, the one in depression, the one in sorrow. That is the power of, we can say, Shraddha, which can dispel doubts, and absence of it is what Krishna is saying. Krishna is not cursing because you don't have Shraddha. Certain texts talk about it in certain cultural traditions or some, we can say, religions. You don't listen, you will be cursed for eternity. In hell also you will have trouble, all of that, because you didn't listen to me. No, this is not what Krishna is talking about. He's not saying out of fear you start worshipping the divine. But he's saying what happens in the lack of Shraddha. You will have doubts. What will happen when doubts? Doubts will spoil you only. Everywhere you will have doubts. In a beautiful relationship, what happens when doubts come in? The relationship is destroyed, isn't it? Doubts, unnecessary. There's no ground for it also. Just sanshaya, always the doubts keep coming and ultimately they destroy. There's something called seeking. Questioning is welcome in Sanatana Dharma. But there is something which is, there is a seeking question and there is a question of where there is doubts. Means you already know that it is not there and you are doubting. You're not seeking something. You are negating. And that sometimes, because if you, there is Sakaratmak negation also. Neti, not this. And you realize, God, He's not here, not here, not here. But the seeking should be there, isn't it? But when the seeking stops, the person is destroyed. And this is not a curse of Krishna. It is just a consequence, action consequence that he's talking about. One who is faithless, who has no Shraddha and is ignorant. I don't have faith in anybody. What will happen in my talk with everybody? I'll cease to have faith in them, so I will always doubt. It will be visible in my actions. I will try to protect myself from whatever wrong may happen from somebody else. Then there is no meaning. There is no meaning in this world only, is be my conclusion. Life is like this. People have been bad to me. So I am going to close myself. Everybody is like this. What's going to happen? Why am I going to, why should I hurt myself? But no, this will happen out of ignorance. The person keeps hurting again and again. Ultimately, the skepticism also. That is why skepticism is not required. The difference between a seeker and skeptic is great. It's like going into a park. Why do you go to the park? You go for fun. You say you go with your loved ones, with your family, to enjoy, to experience. You try to understand what is there if you're going for the first time. All that is good. But imagine somebody going, see, there is this dog inside of this park who is passing stools there. Look at this. Look at this dirt here. Look at that dirt there. What is going to happen? The entire experience of the park is going to be lost in just finding the faults. Park will not change, but your experience will be completely gone. You will not experience the joy. Unfortunately, people around you will also not experience any joy, and they start avoiding. A person who is always doubting is always alone because nobody likes such a company as well. Let us continue. Krishna says, Yoga san Yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchinna sanshayam atmavantam na karmani ne badnanti dhananjaya. O Arjuna, he who has above doubts risen and sacrificed all, desiring nothing for himself, is no more bound in karma's prison, for he has attained a true knowledge of the self. When you have already sacrificed everything, what are you going to lose? Nothing is going to be lost from you. There's a beautiful शेर also. मेरी नाकामियों की वजह कोई और ढूंढ लूंगा. क्या कहूँ? धोखा दिया तूने? Should I say you betrayed me? No. Why should I say that? That is not something. I will find some other reasons. All right, but I am not going to have expectation only from anybody. When I am having no expectation, why should I have doubts also? Both. When you have expectation, then only you are going to have doubt. When both you have overcome and you have just risen out of that, your doubts are not going to trouble you anymore. You have sacrificed all, nothing more to lose. You are desiring specifically nothing for yourself. You are in that state of balance and you are no more bound by karma's prison. Karma bandhana will not trap you anymore. You have attained a trupti, the shanti, the peace, and also the knowledge. That is why Krishna says, Tasmat jnana sambhutam ritstham jnana sinatmanaha chitvainam sanshayam yogam atishta uttishta bharata. Therefore, this ignorance that your heart has borne, let its veil be shred and torn. With a saber of knowledge, besiege its disguise. O son of Bharat, attain the union, awaken and arise. Krishna says, therefore, this ignorance is there in your hridaya, in your heart. The brilliant sun is being eclipsed by what? By clouds of doubt. Krishna says, throw them away. Let the veil of disguise be, shred. Let it be torn completely. With what? With the sword of knowledge. He says, Atishta Uttishta Bharata. He's reminding, oh, rise, Arjuna, oh, son of Bharat. Oh, what is Bharat? Bhai is the Bhaskara, the Ratha of the Bhaskara, the light of illumination, the light of truth. Let that light once more rise, Arjuna, awaken. Because Arjuna was doubting, isn't it? Even in this Adhyaya, when Krishna asked a simple question and told him, I will grant you the knowledge, he says, how will you grant that knowledge? Instead of receiving first, Krishna is with Shraddha, I should just receive, isn't it? But he says, no, how is it? How can I believe that you thought Surya? This is the problem. Doubts will always become like a barrier in reception also. How much doubt? Sometimes people have shades of doubt. I don't fully doubt the person. I have 50% doubt, 20% doubt. You will receive only that much. That doubt is just a factor which is divine. And you look at this. Krishna says this, and he says finally, Attishto Tishta Bharata. Rise, O Bharat. Awaken from these doubts. So now my one question is, this Adhyaya is complete. We enter into fifth Adhyaya. We all say this to Suprabhatam in the morning, no, Uttishta Govinda. And now Govinda is telling Uttishta Arjuna. He is himself singing and Arjuna is being told, rise above doubts. Finally, now we will see a change, isn't it, in Arjuna? What do you think, in your opinion? Will Arjuna rise above doubts now that Krishna himself has told it? Because he said, how, yet kim, from the first Adhyaya we have been seeing everything Krishna is saying, Arjuna has been either negating or countering. When he says, do your duty, he says, Katham, yat kim karmani ghore mam. And then he says, spirituality, and we talked about Atman. He said, what? Why are you giving me two options? Don't confuse. Tell me clearly. Either you are confused or you are confusing me. That was Arjuna's perspective. He said, you talk about the material or talk about the spiritual. Why are you telling both? Then when he says, I'll give you knowledge, he says, how can I believe it? Now when finally Krishna said, see Arjuna, it is the doubts that will create a trouble. Take the doubts away. Do you think Arjuna's questions will now stop? Yes? Yes or no? Anybody?
Maybe not, sir.
Okay, Sindhuji says no. Anybody else agrees with Sindhuji?
I think it's more of a gradual process, so it will
Yes.
eventually.
Yeah, don't doubt me if you say that nobody in the world has ever listened to that statement, isn't it? Whoever says don't doubt me, why is he saying that? Really doubtful. That is the first thought that comes in. So let us see. Krishna has clearly told certain aspects of truth. He's talked about integrating the material and the spiritual. He's talking about knowledge which will transform, which will purify. But reception of Arjuna is still marred because of his emotions, because of the emotions which have not, been overcome. So that is going to happen now. Arjuna Uvacha. Sannyasam karmanam Krishna punaryogam cha shansasi yat shreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Oh Krishna, the virtues of renunciations of actions you praise, and yet a union with the divine in all actions you raise. Of these two, which is best, please do tell. Which is the way that will augur me well. He says again, he is back to square one. He says, Krishna, one side you are saying get renounced from all the actions, get free from karma bandhana. You even say, na kinchit karoti saha. You're not doing anything. You shouldn't do. Get into that consciousness. Let the divine function through you and all. On the other side, you are saying become united with the divine in all actions. He says, of these two, which is best? Please tell me, which is going to be profitable for me. He is very careful in his words. He says, Yat Shreyaha. Again and again, he says this Shreyaha. This is at least this aspect he knows. He wants to know what is Shreyas and not what is Preyas, what is desirable and what is needed. That bhed he has understood. Yes, we must seek what is needed. Sometimes what is needed is not desirable also, isn't it? When we have that moment, what should we choose? Krishna is already told that. Arjuna also knows it from the beginning. Probably he studied Kathopanishad as well. Because what is Shreyas should always take precedence over what is Preyas. What is right is to be done, even if it may not be desirable, because that will ultimately come back to us. But my one question is, was Krishna contradicting himself when he said anything so far? Because Arjuna is not able to reconcile these two. Anybody? Was Krishna contradicting, or do you agree to some extent to what Arjuna is saying? Anybody can relate to this query of Arjuna. One side you are saying renounce your actions. On another side you are saying become one with the divine in all actions. Yes, anybody? Is it very confusing what Arjuna is saying about Krishna? Yeah?
I think he has misunderstood maybe what he is actually trying. What Shri Krishna is asking him to leave. I mean, he is not. He is asking Arjuna to not get stuck into karma bandhanas or maybe the results, and it's not
Hmm.
the. He is not asking him to leave the karmas behind. So
He's
the
not
karma has
done.
to be done. Yeah.
All right. So he has, means Krishna has not given room for doubt that way so far. Everything has been crystal clear only. Isn't it, Chaitanya ji?
Yep.
But then why still, in spite of that, you see, Krishna, if you and me talk, we can say, chalo, हमारा communication में थोड़ा lapse हुआ. I'm probably not ideal in my communication. I made a mistake. That I understand. Krishna is communicating and Arjuna is not receiving perfectly. What could be the factor then?
I think it could be his current state of emotions
Ah,
rather than anything else.
yes. So the state of emotions can become a hurdle, no, in reception also.
Yep.
So even when Krishna is Sarthi, first thing is nobody should have a doubt. If Krishna is your Sarthi, life is already complete. You don't have to worry. You can actually relax, put your hands behind. Krishna, take it, do what you have to. Give me the order, I will follow. But Arjuna's state is different. He feels this is the aham which comes in. Now, the example I told about somebody who is worried about the outcome of a political party. Is the person more concerned about the political party, or is the person more concerned about the individual? Because if this can happen here, it may not happen to me. What if my prayers are not answered? These doubts are the individual level doubts. And when this happens, you can be closest to the divine and yet far away from the divine, like in Arjuna's case at the moment. Uttishta Arjuna, Uttishta Bharata. Krishna is telling this and Arjuna is not rising. We all pine to get one word from Krishna. Shruti, give me one word I want to hear of Krishna, and I will hold on to it all my life. So many people. Darshan do ghansham nath mori akhya pyasi re. I'm thirsty for one glimpse. But here Arjuna has it and he has not realized. This is why many times people, even in the biggest of organizations, even spiritual organizations, people serve and yet, like this, is close to the temple and yet away from the God. They're living in the physical proximity is not everything. And that is because of the mind. That is why the mind has to be transformed. And Arjuna is probably teaching us now what we should not do, what
But
should not happen.
sorry,
Yes.
just to, I mean,
Yeah.
just another aspect of it. It is also in a way good that Arjuna is not doing something without, I mean, he's not ready to do something without realizing it or
Yeah.
understanding it,
No,
maybe.
no.
Because
Yes.
if he does it just because Krishna is saying, then eventually after it has been done, he has not actually progressed himself. He has just done something because someone has said to him, but he has not realized why and the importance of it.
Yes, that is also very true, Chaitanya ji. Yes, because he's not just blindly following, he's trying to understand. But in understanding, you see the type of things, maybe Gita could have become even deeper if Arjuna's questions were different, but we do not know. And like I said, if I was in Arjuna's place, it will be the most boring Gita. I would say, Krishna, what should be done? He said, fight. I would say, yes, sir. Over. Bhagavad Gita is finished. But because Arjuna's questions are there, we are getting a chance to see. And Arjuna is the representative of humanity. Man has questions, man has doubts. We cannot say, I don't have any doubt at all. We've all had doubts. That is why we have sought divine, isn't it? Without the doubts, we did not seek. But there's a time where we have to shed the doubts behind, and that's what Arjuna is yet to realize it fully. This is what they call sanskaras. They are difficult, they are jada. Sometimes, to dissolve them, Krishna has to do a really, it's not a deep surgery. That is why he has to take so many adhyayas. And when Arjuna's doubts disappear, no, the questioning also changes. You will specifically see it in the 8th adhyay. 8th adhyay onwards, there is a difference. It's like Arjuna now has started asking the right questions. But for that, he has to be shaken again. Sometimes means in life we get shaken and then only we start questioning, isn't it? Sometimes we get a big sudden blow from life and then we wake up. But that does not mean we must get a blow to wake up, isn't it? It's not a necessity. But that is also, pain is called a hammer's god. Uh, God's hammer, sorry. Pain is called the God's hammer, as what the mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram says. So it's like a hammer, Thor's hammer, which is breaking down open gates. Even the knowledge in the Upanishad, Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasyapi Hitam Mukham. Light is also governed by light is covered by the golden lid. The God is asked to break open that lid so that the realization comes. Because we get attracted to what is glittering, on the outside, and we think that is the ultimate truth. But the ultimate truth is even sukshma. So yes, these are all. I think we're not going to blame Arjuna for his questions, but we can see no, because of this in Arjuna, this happened that he could not receive. Guru's words we will sometimes receive. Means I am talking about my own self. Guru has told something, but fully I have not understood it. And so somewhere doubt is there, and so I'm not trying to understand it. That doubt is creating a barrier for me to receive correctly. And then from experience teaches me, that is why Sapalam Guru Bhashitam, that is why the Guru's words have come through. Now I understand. It's not required. Like when I was very young, one bhaiya told me fire is nice, and I touched the fire because he told me. I burnt my fingers. Now my sister was very wise. She didn't have to do something stupid like me to touch the fire to learn that it is hot and it will burn your fingers. It is something like that. We can probably learn from this also. Ki no, let's not. But questioning, yes. Tat vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. You have to question. Without it, you will not seek. But what are the type of questions that have to be got? That is something which we can consider. But again, Krishna is not complaining so far. We see he is enjoying all the things what Arjuna is saying. So I don't think we can say what Arjuna is doing is wrong. It is just a perspective, of course. So can somebody summarize and then we'll conclude today's session? If anybody has any queries, after that we'll have a look at it. Yes, please. Hari Om. Yes, anybody?
May I?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Shri Krishna started with saying that you need to choose your guru wisely because he is the one who's going to show you the way. And if you don't find guru, maybe you can trust your Aradhya, place your Shraddha in Aradhya or divine, and you will still see the way ahead. Uh, at the same time, he told that Sanatan gives you right, right to question, but that questioning has to be from the perspective of seeker and not doubter. I mean, if it is more from the seeking perspective, then of course you are going to learn more rather than just doubting it, what is happening. Then he also asked about recognizing the divine, not just you need to recognize the divinity around you and also within you. Then there is this fire of knowledge which actually burns everything, every darkness and darkness and karma bandhana, and guru also simultaneously helps you to remove the divide and darkness from within you. So that was another aspect that we saw. Then we talked about shraddha, that it is being a most important thing because it kind of creates a ground for progression on this path. So that is important. And if I mean it's likely that if you don't have shraddha, you are likely to have just more doubts rather than you will not be able to progress then because you will keep doubting what is being told to you. And again, as we said, if it is seeking, it is little different than doubting. So without shraddha, you are likely to have more doubts than answers. And yeah, once you rise above all of this, those doubts will disappear. And yeah, that is the way I think ahead. And we also we discussed some examples, right? You give some examples, and from that, what I understood is that it is very easy to attach expectations to shraddha because when you are putting shraddha, you maybe naturally this is a human nature that you start expecting good things to happen or things that you want to happen. You start expecting those, and once those don't happen, there are doubts about shraddha. You start questioning whether it is really there, and that is where I think we need to be careful that shraddha with shraddha you shouldn't go back to getting attached to results of things which Shri Krishna had told earlier to not get attached to them. So I think from the examples that you had described, it was very much the case where we that those expectations were attached with shraddha, and then that shraddha came into question once those expectations were not fulfilled, or those things that the other person was favoring were not happening. So that, and after all of this, Arjun eventually asked Sri Krishna that you are on one side you are asking me to unite with divine and do all the karmas, and on the other side you are asking me to get free of all the karma bandhanas. How it is possible to do both at the same time? Because probably he has not understood what exactly Sri Krishna is asking to leave him behind. That is attachment to fruits, expectations to fruits of action, and it is not the karma itself. So yeah, that is where we stop.
Yes, absolutely, Chaitanya ji. So this aspect of Shraddha, it is very much connected with knowledge also. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. People feel Shraddha and knowledge are not connected together. It's not the case. Shraddha is the foundation to receive knowledge. With Shraddha, with firm Shraddha, you can receive the highest knowledge. Means from the zenith to even the nadir, to the lowest point, everything you can understand, you can evaluate, you can experience, you can, because that is why it is important. And the transformation of Shraddha is, it is something like there was a case of, like we talked about transformation of knowledge. When knowledge comes, what we can say, the criminal can become completely transformed. Like that, the one who is not wise also can receive wisdom. Shraddha is the ground for receiving the wisdom. There was a great Shishya of Shankaracharya. His name was Giri. Everybody felt कि अरे इसका तो कुछ होगा नहीं. He is not so what we can say, intellectually endowed. Like all the other Shishyas were so brilliant that this person felt, "Arey," he would even ask his elders, "When will I get knowledge? Will it come to me?" They'll say, "Ha ha, aega, aega." But suddenly Guru Krupa functioned on him while he was doing something. A satsang was going to take place. He was getting late. Somebody cracked a joke. Ki, what is the use of his coming or not coming? Satsanga will happen. It will anyway go over his head. But the Guru said no. He said, "We will wait." He gets a spiritual experience somewhere else. He's doing Guru Seva only. You see, with Shraddha, Prashnena Sevaya. Means you can ask question, but Seva also. That is why people lived in Gurukuls. People spent their time. People spent years. Krishna himself went to Gurukul and in Sandipani Ashram, isn't it? He did Seva, Guru Seva, because that is important. Without that, you will not learn humility. Without that, you will not learn knowledge. And same way, Giri got in a spark. Means the Buddha also has talked about realization just being a spark away. Anybody can receive it. He got that. And he composed one of the greatest difficult ashtakams. Means in Totaka meter, it is called Totakashtakam. It goes beautifully, Guru Pungava Pungava Kedanati, and so brilliant was that, and that was the moment of transformation from Giri to later on he became Totakacharya, and later on he became the Madhyadipati also afterwards. So you see the transformation. That is why Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Charachara Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. The entire, you can understand, that is a tattva. The Guru tattva is there. In Sri Aurobindo ashram, when the ashram was started and founded, one of the concessions for people to come there was to have Shraddha in Sri Aurobindo, Shraddha in his yoga. What is he doing? And Shraddha is where doubts are not. But Shraddha does not mean you are not having the intellect or knowledge. Actually, Sri Aurobindo had to give an note. He had to say, "I have asked to surrender your mind, not your common sense." Because a lot of people were doing something in the name of surrender. They were doing really silly things, which was not right. Because they have not understood the meaning of surrender. But this is something. Today's class, this session was about, mainly Krishna is talking about how knowledge can transform. And the point of transformation can be anytime. It can be now, it can be tomorrow, it can be day after, it can be any day. It is not depending on the Kala. We cannot say, no, Krishna don't function now, Rahu Kala. All hour is every hour is the hour of God, and when it is the divine moment, transformation can take place. But for that, you need like Sarathi is there. Only the person who is supposed to be the instrument is not ready. And that is why we can, well, like it is, like Shashanji said, yes, we should be careful while choosing the Guru. But actually, it is the Guru who chooses. The Shishya cannot choose the Guru. Actually, the Shishya has to only focus on becoming such Shishya. When the moment is right, the universe will bring about that union. Krishna Arjuna union had to come because Srishti is functioning like that. Even they like even just it's like even two leaves they meet together when they're in a river. It is or two logs or just touch. That is also a conspiracy of the universe which is conspiring for something higher. Like that, the Guru Shishya union happens. It's a very durlabh moment, but it happens by the grace of God, not by the wish or aspiration only of the Shishya. Sometimes some have to pine, some have to thirst badly, some have to pray. I can tell from my own case. I used to cry in front of the idol of Buddha. That time, my Aradhya was the Buddha. So, Arey, you got realization. Please help me find a guru. I did not even realize that so many years later, my guru turned out to be someone whom I used to call uncle, and I didn't even know that person before. It had happened, but it had to happen when it has to. This is not something we can intervene. We cannot force. We cannot, bring it to manifest. Manifestation will happen. We have to be ready. Like the Adhar has to be ready, the base has to be ready, the instrument has to be ready, and to become ready, one of the simplest and fastest ways is having Shraddha. So with this, let us conclude with the Shanti Mantra. If you have any queries, we will look at it after the mantra. Hari Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. हरि ओम तत्सत्. Krishna Mandir Jagatguru. Hari Om. Jai Shri Krishna. Any queries there, you are welcome. I will conclude the session.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji. Namaste. Hari Om.
Hari
Jai Shri Krishna. Namaste.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. हरिओम जी।
Hariom sir.
हरिओम हरिओम जी। हरिओम हरिओम।